Hello, everybody. My name is Conor McGilligan. Welcome back to the Room Mill.
This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, the Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, the Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, the Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just a £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video.
Hello, everybody. My name is Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds, and this is the Rumour Mill. What is going on in your world? Let me know in the comment section below. We're back here. Discourse, debate, and delays. Shout out to you, Luke. But discourse, debate, discussion, of course. Fulham. Football is back, baby. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Are you excited? I am ready for this. I'm back with a bit of energy. I've had a copious amount of alcohol last night, but I'm back. And now I've had a copious amount of caffeine. It's fine. I'm joking. I haven't had alcohol last night, but I might be indulging this weekend. Who knows? Who knows if Leeds United win? But I have had a copious amount of caffeine this morning, everybody. So I'm back to it. Look at this. I've just found out what a cortada is. A cortada? Flipping heck. This is miles better than a flat white. Miles better. I hope it's a cortada. I don't know what else is in this. It's... You know what I mean? I'm back. Back from the international break with a cortada. Okay. Slap a like on the video, everybody. Now, listen, I'm going to throw to you. I'm going to absolutely launch at you some deals that we've got going on this weekend with our fantastic sponsors. Shout out Shop GNO, who sponsored the video. Have signed up with us for the whole season. Mike and the gang, e-commerce site, everybody. Better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. Check them out. Link in the description below. Job Match Group. I know a lot of you at this moment in time are struggling. Tailored job specific sites for all of your individual needs as well. But just going on to this weekend in particular, we have a 200% bonus with the code ONELEADS, everybody. And that's still, you know, if you've previously deposited as well, it works for new users, but previous deposits, look at that. With the code ONELEADS, £200 deposit with Match Bingo. Get involved, everybody. We've got another offer coming as well, which is really exciting. But I want to show you guys as well, I've managed to win some money on BetMate, and you can win some money too. In the England-Andorra game, you guys know I'm rubbish at all this sort of stuff. Fantasy, betting, yes. I finished third. My team finished third. The top 3 pays out, and my team finished third. You pick 7 players. I entered a pot. And yeah, look, third. I won 25 quid. You can do that, everybody. Get involved. I've entered this week as well, and this is my team for this week. Who have I gone with? Have I gone with any Leeds players? I have. I've gone with Henderson in net, Tarkowski. I'm it's a little bit bigger for you guys. Tarkowski, Munoz, Dewsbury Hall, Gamaresh, Semenyo as captain, and Noah Okafors. That's my team. You can join, and we're going to be getting onto it in the watch along. I'll be talking you through my team and us getting points, and maybe you guys win. Who knows? Link in the description below for that as well. Listen, OK Jersey, you have to be there on the watch along tomorrow, Leeds Fulham, but we're giving away more shirts. It's happening again, baby. 2 winners. They will be announced on the watch along tomorrow. Pick any kit you want. You guys know back there, I've got about 400 kits from them that I bought myself, but you can use the code 1Leeds. Free shipping, free everything. Listen, join that tomorrow, the watch along. You'll only be included in the giveaway if you're on the watch along tomorrow, everybody. So make sure you do that. 1-1 for me this week, this Saturday, Connor. Then got Wolves. We're flying, buddy. Good stuff. Good to see you in here. Matty, how's it going, mate? What's a cortada? It is a very strong coffee, my friend. Morning, Connor, pal. Morning, everybody. Hi, Kelly. Hi, AJ. Good morning. Are you all right, then? You've all gone, haven't you? You've all... Oh, it's international break. I'll leave Connor by himself doing the rumour mill, and I'll just go off and spend time with the family. Well, you're back now, right? I've got you all back in. You're gripped back in to discuss all things Leeds United. You're all back with me now. Never leave me again, all right? Never leave me again. Okay, all right, okay. That's slightly strange from me, but still, don't leave me again. Let's get into the weekend's antics, shall we? Now, we'll start on Mr. Isaac of Schmidt, who was told Bild this morning, a German publication, quite damning things, really, when it comes to Leeds United. Now, I thought with Isaac Schmidt, maybe there's going to be a little bit of next season he comes back, like Matteo Joseph, like, you know, we're looking at potentially, well, hopefully, Largi Ramazani. If the worst comes to it, you're thinking, right, well, you can get the boys back. He's playing for Werder Bremen now, decent standard. You've got Largi at Valencia. You've got Matteo Joseph at Mallorca. They're all playing at a very good standard. Worst case scenario, we go down to the Championship, and you've effectively got top-flight players who you can either sell on or they can come down with us to the Championship. Worst-case scenario. Obviously, because I don't think you want Schmidt for the top level, but still, there's an asset there. He's told Bild, I'm looking for an apartment. I want to settle here. I've only just arrived, but my goal is to stay. He later on said he wants to stay in Bremen long-term. Now, that is quite damning. It's quite a damning thing to say for me. I did not expect that whatsoever. You go out on loan when you've just arrived. I mean, he's had an instant impact. They were losing in his first appearance. They were losing 3-1. Schmidt came on. He scored. They then equalised in the last minute. And then he's got a flipping cap again for Switzerland, of which Mr. Noah Okafors struggling to get at this moment in time. And we'll get onto that in just a little bit. But Isaac Schmidt turning around and saying, look, he wants to stay in Bremen long term. He wants his family to be out there, and fair play to him. But flipping heck, that is just, it's curtailing. It's getting rid of your Leeds United career quite instantly. And maybe there's been conversation with the top brass at Leeds United saying, look, you do this, they come in for a big fee for you, as in, you know, maybe sort of nigh on 3 to 4 to 5 million quid, whatever it's going to be. There wasn't an obligation in there, was there? But interesting how he doesn't see a way back for himself at Leeds United. I thought maybe, potentially, there would be after a season-long loan out there. Maybe we can get him back and maybe we can see him in the Championship, worst-case scenario. And that just seems to have absolutely kiboshed that. So it looks like Isaac Schmidt is not going to be coming back to Leeds at any point. Connor is buzzing, to be fair. I am. Cortado, an espresso with a dash of milk. Indeed. Cortado sounds good. I love a strong coffee. The Cortado has hit Connor's central nervous system. It's when I've not been on the coffee for like... Sometimes I'll take a while off the coffee. Do you know what I mean? I'll take a while off. And when I say a while, I mean probably around 24 hours. And then I'll hit it again and then... Do you know what I mean? Connor's back in the room. It's like, non-coffee Connor is in the international break. A little bit placid, not really much going on. Leeds start playing again. Bang. Espresso. Double, please. Thank you very much. Caleb says, I can see either a brilliant win or a proper battering. Schmidt hasn't been great for us with the stick he has, and I can't blame him for it. I agree with you, Velo. He's got a career going forward, hasn't he? And you look at the treatment, maybe Ramazani was coming in, Schmidt was coming in, and you kind of look at it and think to yourself, well, they've got careers here. They're not just on the Leeds United payroll and are just going to say things that are going to appease our fans and the brass at Leeds United, of course. And I'm just lumping Ramazani in there as well because Ramazani wanted to play. And if both of them aren't played, then obviously they're going to want to go out there. And you might get, listen, look, you might get, I mean, I think Schmidt is a little bit more disposable than what Ramazani is. But if Ramazani turns around at the end of the window and goes, look, I want to join Valencia, I want to stay out in Spain, Leeds going to have a little bit of a tricky situation on the hands, you know, especially if Carlos Corberán brings the best out of Largi Ramazani. It looks already like Schmidt is out in Bremen and he's loving it, which is crazy. I didn't expect it to be that quick, to be honest with you. But yeah, he's out there, he's enjoying it. Ramazani, I'm sure, will absolutely love being out in Valencia with Carlos Corberán. The only thing I'm sort of grappling onto with Largi is there was no obligation, no option for Valencia, no recall clause, though, for Leeds United. So Valencia wanted that full loan with Ramazani. But there was no option, no obligation there. But once again, I am kind of looking at it and thinking, I wonder what Ramazani is going to feel like at the end of this. Will he actually want to leave Leeds United? Will that be the case no matter what Leeds put in front of him when it comes, you know, to a loan option or obligation? Will he just turn around to Leeds at the end and go, I want to go? I mean, Schmidt said that already. We'll have to wait and see. Again, what is this train spotting? Good morning, Connor. Hopefully 3 points at the weekend. No better time to catch up on sleep than the international break. Born Slippy says, I stopped drinking coffee once, longest 20 minutes of my life. That's where I'm about, mate. That's where I'm at. Do us a favour, everybody. Slap a like on the video as well if you haven't done that already. Thank you so much. Right, okay, we're going to move on to this young man, this dashing young man, Noah Okafor. So he's done a read this morning. He's done a little bit with The Athletic. Baron Cross has spoken to him. Interesting things coming out of it, really, when it comes to Okafor and what he expects to see at Leeds United. Said he has issues with Jurat Yakin, obviously the Switzerland boss, and has said that he's had issues with Switzerland and he wants to prove himself at Leeds United, which is obviously what you want to hear. He wants minutes. There's been a conversation apparently with Daniel Farke and him about his best position. That position is on the left-hand side, which is absolute music to my ears, to be honest with you. Hiya, Knox. Good to see you in here, mate. It's music to my ears, to be honest with you. So he sees himself as that number 9, as that left winger. And that is perfect because that's where he's needed. I don't want to see him on the right-hand side. I don't want to see him in this central space. There's been a lot of Leeds fans saying to me, oh, Connor, he can play in that central mid. We don't want that. You know, ideally, you don't want that like you've had with your Schmidts last season. You don't want square pegs, round holes. You want him to be happy where he is. He wasn't happy at AC Milan being played in that number 9 role. And him already coming out and saying that in The Athletic is pretty obvious, really. Now, when he signed for Leeds United, apparently behind the scenes, when he came to Leeds, he wanted to play for Leeds, wanted minutes, wanted to play Premier League football, but one of the stipulations was that he wanted Leeds to know that he wanted to play left wing. Apparently that was part of the negotiation in terms of, you know, speaking to Leeds, speaking to the top brass and saying, I want to be played here. I don't want to be playing in the number 9. From what you're reading in and around the Rossoneri at AC Milan, he wasn't happy playing there anyway. He's come out in interviews, in Italian interviews, and said, ideally, I want to be playing left wing, and he's made it quite unequivocally clear, being sort of as indirect as possible, not being rude, not saying that he's not going to play for AC Milan if he's playing in the number 9, but basically saying that I want to play for a club who are going to play me left wing. So that's good to see because it's clearly a position of which he feels is a massive strength of his. He's a big boy for a winger. You know, you saw his stature against Sheffield Wednesday. What my only problem, I guess, with Okafor in the bit that the minuscule minutes that we've seen of him really in that Sheffield Wednesday game is I wanted to see him take his man on a little bit more. Sakira at right back, the 19-year-old, was able to force him inside. We don't want that. We do not want that because I have to be fair here, and that was when we move into maybe the discourse, debate, discussion segment, that was always my issue with Manor Solomon at Leeds United. His playing style, I felt, especially at the very beginning, would force him inside. He wouldn't hit the byline enough. You need to vary that play as a winger, especially as a Premier League winger. And if a Sheffield Wednesday right wing back in Sakira is able to force you inside more often than not, and the context in that Sheffield Wednesday game, how poor they are. They're a bunch of 16-year-olds playing with Barry Bannon. Okafor kind of, I guess, has got everything to prove, and that's a good thing for Leeds United. It's a good thing for him as well. You know, if he might think to himself, well, if that's what you think my showing is, which we know what Leeds fans are like, the judgment can be cast already. He might be thinking to himself, well, do you know what? I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to prove myself at the weekend, you know, and for Leeds United that I'm going to be able to do this consistently. So I want to see him being direct. That is what I want to see from Noah Okafor, and I hope that is the task that Daniel Farke has bestowed on him. We don't want to be seeing you cutting inside. You can do that, but it's the easy option. It's the easy option. It's like when I've been talking about central central midfielder, everybody. A central midfielder, the easiest option, and this is from someone who's played there at a reasonably decent level, an easy option for a central midfielder, if I'm playing every Sunday, which I do, and most Saturdays, or well, as many Saturdays as I can really if I'm not doing content, but most Sundays when I play, the easy option for me is to go backwards. So it's easy. Easy option for me. It's not to get the ball on the back foot and look forward and try slot the ball in centrally or play the ball over the fullback. It's to play the ball backwards. I've passed it. I've not lost it. And the easy option consistently for a winger is to get that ball and just cut inside, in my opinion. Cut inside, leave it off to a central midfielder. It's basic. You've got to go at your man. And that, encompasses width as well. You've got to have your options from your wing backs, and we're going to talk about the tactical side as well. But yeah, we're going to talk about the tactical side as well. But, if you are going inside consistently, it makes the pitch more compact, more congested, but then you need constant support from your left winger as well to provide that width. So I'd like to see Noah Okafor hit that byline as well, which I've not seen so far. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let's see what you guys are saying. Noah Okafor on the left, Nonto on the right, and DJ off the bench. Sujal says, personally, I rate Rama above even Somerville. And I love Cree. I'm completely with you, Sujal. Completely with you. I think there's more variation in his game. Sujal also says, of Schmidt, Joseph, and Ramazani, I definitely want to see Rama come back to Leeds United. Yeah, I kind of get that, mate. I do understand that. Jason said, one of the hardest parts of being a manager is dealing with the players that aren't in the team. Don't think Farke is great at that. Lee says, I don't blame Schmidt, Ramazani, and Joseph. It's all down to Farke. He doesn't use his playing squad correctly. Wayne says, did anyone else get the notification Connor had gone live and presume he'd gotten the timing mixed up? I'll watch this back to front. No, mate. It's sometimes you just have to delay it in terms of if you're getting all the sort of bits sorted for the stream. So I think I delayed it to 1:15. So apologies for that. But guys, we've got about 800 of you in the building. Do us a favour, slap a like on the video. I know I keep saying it, but it really does help, especially coming back from the international break when lots of people have missed the content. So there you go. Right, okay, let's get on to our Tanaka. Now, a lot of you guys are probably seeing the lineup right now, and we will get into that lineup. It's going to be really important to talk about the tactical side of the game today, and I think you guys enjoy that breakdown, of which we will try provide when it comes to Fulham, etc. But I just want to touch on our little magic man as well this morning in terms of the wonderful, the ever-present, hopefully ever-present, our Tanaka. Now, Daniel Farke said yesterday that effectively, when it comes to Ampadu and Tanaka, the latter, and in that conversation it was Tanaka, is likely to be out for this one when it comes to MCL. Now, he said the language is really important here, doubt. He said this about Peru. He said this about Mecha, Ampadu, Tanaka. All of it was doubts. None of it was they're out. And I hope with Mr. Farke, what he's doing here is playing some mind games. Because this guy, when it comes to a tactical side of the game tomorrow, is going to be so important. So important. And on top of that, so is Ampadu. And for all the, the immeasurable bits in terms of the, the captaincy, the players that you want in and around, of course, it's really important. But there's so much more that Tanaka can provide tomorrow. And we need him in a game like this. We need him. He's going to be so important. So is Ampadu as well. And we're going to get into that in just a second. But he mentioned on social media, he put a post out, I just turned 27. See you soon. So, yeah. He put, I just turned 27, and then he followed it up with, see you soon. So, for me, I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, go on then. Go on then. Do us a favour. Do us an absolute favour, Al. And I think when you're using the word doubt, the language is so important when it comes to managers' press conferences and stuff like that. If he's able to slip in a little bit of a curveball, which Farke has done before, we've seen that even in the Championship when players have been doubts and then they've played. With Mecha. Peru, you guys know with Peru, I'm very much like, it's not like I want him to be out, but if there's collateral damage there, you'd rather it be Peru over Mecha, Tanaka, and Ampadu, who I think are more important in facilitating Leeds' style of play tomorrow. So, yeah, Tanaka needs to be available. I think he might be available, maybe a bench option. I think Ampadu's going to start, and I think Mecha's going to be in the squad as well. I think Peru will be out. But I think those three are going to be part of it, which is going to be really exciting to see. More questions than answers with Okafor. Interesting, Chris. Yeah, in terms of his general play, I agree with you, mate. Josh says Okafor needs to be able to take his man on. Harrison and Nonso Aronson don't do that enough often. For me, they prefer to pass it around. Josh, is a really good comment, mate. And I think in terms of tactically, it's really important to focus on that, because we all have easy ways out when it comes to football. I'm not saying Leeds players do this. I'm not. I actually think Nonso is probably the most risky out of those, and they're the players that you want, and that's why I always go to bat for players like Nonso, Ramazani, Somerville, Rutter. I always go to bat for players like that because, and Farke has done this before, especially when it came to Rutter, and we heard this, didn't we, previously, even when it's come to Tanaka and his long balls. There's always been the discourse with Farke that he wants to keep it almost like a little bit, he wants to reduce that risk. But it's really important that these mavericks in your team, these players who will take that risk, are, effectively bigged up. And I get systematic things in football. I completely understand that. And Pep Guardiola's brought that in, and that's been evolved with Enrique and all these other brilliant coaches that we see in the Premier League right now, even with Herzler, Iriola, Unai Emery, etc. System is so important. But you also, like we see with Jack Grealish and David Moyes now at Everton, you have to encourage that maverick, because the maverick can change games for you. And there are some players in this Leeds United teams that obviously are not of that level of your Jack Grealishes, of players of that ilk. But the reason I'm mentioning that is because that X factor, those players who take those risks have to be encouraged. Tanaka with those long balls, Rutter with those dribbles, those slalom-like dribbles through the central space. Nonso in terms of get the ball, take your man on. Okafor, get the ball, take your man on. I know you can't do that every time, but 7 out of 10 times you get the ball, try be as direct as you can. And I know the systematic style of football right now is to pass, it's to keep possession, and obviously that has mass merit, of course it does, in terms of controlling, dictating the play, but you've got to have mavericks in football. You have to have, and I think football's taken a little bit of a full circle back to those mavericks. You do look at the Grealishes now, who's I think has been hamstrung a little bit by a system-based style at Manchester City, and the shackles have just been released now at Everton, and he's absolutely thriving. And I'm not saying Farke is doing that with some of our players, but you can encourage that little bit of, you do it. The onus is on you. The onus is on you to create, to be that innovator, to, create phases of play, to shoot on goal, instead of just passing it left and passing it right and keeping the ball. There has to be more from this Leeds United side. What's happened to the green screen? Pierre, the green screen is right there. Don't worry. Sometimes, Pierre, what happens is I have the earphones on and the hat on, and the green screen fuzzes in and around it. So basically half the earphone just goes off. So the green screen will be back for tomorrow's game on the watch long. We do have a graphic already made for tomorrow's game where it'll be span onto the green screen. I like to mix it up. I think you guys enjoy the background as well. This is always here, this background anyway, but I do think you like the switch up from the green screen as well. Let me know in the comment section below. The return of the Maverick, always. Do you know what is happening to the set piece, coach? Just that we brought one in, Andrew, that's all. Wayne says, perhaps Tanaka is tagging some birthday leave onto the end of his international leave. Remember when Somerville just went NFG with Jesse and went to the Netherlands and didn't say out? I do remember that, mate. I do remember that. Josh says, that begs a question, and this comes into the DDD. Do you think Farke allows for individuals, or we're more system-based? I think we are more system-based, mate. I think we're a much more system-based side, and I think it's not Daniel Farke's fault. I think what Farke tries to do is encourage Leeds United to play a system-based style, and I think the system-based style has so many benefits, and you've seen that so far with Leeds United in terms of controlling possession, having the best players in the division, so we're able to dictate phases of play. There is still individual brilliance in that team, but there is definitely a level we've seen with the comments with Somerville previously in terms of his play at press conferences, I think, which used to irk Farke a little bit in terms of just keeping hold of the ball too long. We've seen him mention Tanaka's long balls. We've heard him mention Rutter when it comes to the skills and the fancy flicks. I don't think he likes it to a certain extent, and I do get that, but these are what you want to see. These are what you need as well. Now, we're not going to be able to get away with that as much in the Premier League, so we just don't have the quality to be able to do these kind of, styles and encourage too much too much X factor in the Premier League, because the likelihood is these players are better than you on the opposite side. So, but yeah, we do need bits of that. You need shots on goal. You know, you need early crosses into the box. You need step overs and beat a man. You know, you need to be direct. You need to hit the byline. You need to vary your play. You can't just be methodical. You can't be predictable. I think that's what Farke was saying yesterday. Okay. Anything is better than the cupboard, eh, Connor? It is, Wayne. It is. It is. Bringing back the bloody cupboard. You horror. Okay. Let's get on to a little bit of Harry Gray as well, which I know you guys enjoy. A little bit of Harry Gray, a little bit of Grayster. So tomorrow is once again begging the question: if Leeds United are without Mecha and without Peru, does that mean that Harry Gray's going to travel with the squad? It probably does. You will then have available to Leeds United Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who will be the fit striker. You then will not have Mecha available, not have Peru available if you know he is saying the doubts and they've got niggles and you know the conversation is they might not travel with the squad, or even if one of them doesn't, the likelihood is that Harry is going to be featuring, or at least featuring with the squad, I should say, maybe not featuring on the pitch. But yeah, look, I think it's good for Harry to get as many sort of experiences under his belt in terms of travelling with the squad. But I think there is a little bit of a risk that we saw with Leeds United back in the Premier League previously, when you saw the likes of McKinstry and McCarran and players like this who were within the squad. And we've seen that kind of at points with Farke, with like Sam Chambers, who I actually really like Sam Chambers. I think Sam Chambers is one of the youngsters who's impressed me the most, especially when you watch him at a younger level. He looks very good. And even when he was playing at right back for Leeds, when he's played in the Cup for us as well on the wing, I think he's looked really good. So I like Sam Chambers. Harry, I've not really seen enough of him, but I think he looks decent up top. But I don't want to get into that sort of rigmarole again of Leeds United playing these youngsters in the Premier League. It's a massive step up for them. We even saw it with like Gelhardt and Greenwood. And they were further on in the development than McKinstry and McCarran, etc. But it's just a massive sort of, you know, progressive stage up. I mean, I've mentioned before, I think there's probably around about 6 or 7 tier quality difference between the Premier League and the Championship. And Harry Gray, you know, Chambers, etc., haven't really been tested at Championship level even, you know. And we all used to get excited with Greenwood and especially Gelhardt. Oh, dear, he's the next Wayne Rooney. He's got the same physical presence. He's got an excellent touch. You got him in for $1 million and his level is up here. But really, we couldn't ever find a position for him. We couldn't ever properly develop him at Leeds United. And I think we've got to be careful with these youngsters. I'm seeing a lot of Leeds fans, whenever Harry Gray is mentioned, it's, oh, Harry Gray. And I get it, the dynasty, everything. I understand it. With us, Spurs are apparently interested in him as well. But we've got to give him time. We've got to give him a lot of time. He's still not signed his first professional contract. So see what a lot of you guys are saying as well. Wayne says, you heard it here. Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be the fit striker. MW, hi, mate. How's it going? Afternoon, Conrad. Feeling surprisingly good about the Fulham game. I am as well, mate. I am as well. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Josh says, need a perfect system, but individuals who can take hold of the game when needed. Completely agree, mate. I mean, if we didn't ever encourage Mavericks, then Pablo Hernandez would have never have been able to put the imprint on Leeds United that he did, obviously, last season. So, Connor, could Harry Gray be the number 10 of the future? I don't really see him as a 10, mate. I see, from what I have seen of Harry Gray, he seems almost like shadow strikery. So a man who effectively just plays off that number 9. He'd be great in a number 2. I'd love to see 2 strikers come back, Smith and Viduka. You know, I'd love to see that. You know, you look at Newcastle now with Voltemada and Vissi. You look at Liverpool with Isak and Ekitike. I'd absolutely love to see a front 2 returning. You know, Heskey, Owen. I'd love to see that returning again, almost little and large. And Harry Gray would almost fit that mould a little bit, because I think he's got a lovely deft touch. I think you've even seen in pre-season when he splits the centre-back and the left-back and the centre-back with the right-back with his just little inversions and his little ball playing. He's almost got a look-away shaped sort of angled pass on him, hasn't he, where he'll look one way and then pass the ball the other way. I think there's such a confidence there, a real high football IQ and technicality there as well. So I like Harry Gray. I like what I've seen. I think we've just got to be really, really careful with his development and not just throwing him in at Premier League level and not getting to that stage of which we've been at previously, where there's just been kids flooded on our bench. Now, that comes with squad depth, squad reinforcement in the summer, of course, of which, you know, some of you might not have thought we did, and maybe I'm of that bracket as well. So, Okay, let's get into the next discussion as well. Dallas club ambassador means he's going to be travelling with Leeds, being part of the community again, which is great. You know, even when I've been lucky enough to meet Stu and do a little bit of an interview with Stuart, he's a very good lad. I'm a massive fan of him, so well done to Stuart Dallas. And yeah, I guess that's a little bit of rumour. A little bit of, well, not rumour, it's consolidation, isn't it? It's been agreed with Leeds United this morning. It looks like he's going to be part of a lot of community projects and just travelling with the club. Will he have a little bit of an impact maybe? Maybe I see Stuart as in the future been a coach. When I was speaking to him, he said he wants to get into that side of the game as well, which is excellent. And you'd love to see it. And maybe this ambassadorial role at Leeds United is the first stage of that. So, okay, let's get on to Fulham. So I've had this graphic up from the very beginning. Why have I got this graphic up from the very beginning? Well, we need to talk about this team, the weaknesses, what I want to see tomorrow, and how we can combat this. Okay, so you look at that team, they've got no injuries at this moment in time. None. And why it says on my title, 3 signings that are going to be available for this game is because Kusi Asari is going to be available for Fulham, the young lad. Chukwueze, they brought in from AC Milan, I should say. And obviously Kevin, who I believe is going to potentially start on that right-hand side. And I think Marco Silva's going to target that right-hand side, and I'll speak on why. And yeah, so Chukwueze is going to be available, Kusi Asari and Kevin, but I think obviously the most dangerous one is going to be Kevin on that right-hand side. Now, his permanent position, if you will, is on that left-hand side. That's where he's a little bit more dangerous. Gives you very much Willian vibes, cutting in off that left-hand side, just being so quick that you can't stop it. But I think Alex Iwobi has been so good off Fulham's left-hand side that I think Kevin might ship out to that right-hand side, or they bring Ryan Sessegnon out, put him out on the right-hand side instead, keep Iwobi out on that left, who's been very, very good, I think, for Fulham, and is criminally underrated. And yeah, I think that mix is going to be very, very nice for them. So this is a good team. It's a good team. Is this a team of which we can't get anything from? Absolutely not. You know, I think Leeds, when you're looking at this and when you're looking at how we can affect proceedings, I think Leeds can get something this weekend. And I think we should be targeting it. I really do. I think we should be targeting this weekend. I think it's a game of which we shouldn't be scared of. And I was speaking to a pal last night and he said, you know, he was saying, big Man United fan, but he said, you know, what he's seen of Leeds. And he works in the journalism world as well. He said there's opportunity for you there, real opportunity. And he was like, do you think Leeds will target it? And I said, yeah, 100%. I think we should be targeting it as a point. You know, you've got your next 3. You've got to look at your next 3. And you've got Derek, if you're in the building, shout out to you, mate. But you've got to evaluate where you are after 9 games. You know, you've got to go from, you know, every sort of you've got to evaluate where Leeds United are periodically. You know, how many points have we picked up? If we've played sort of 7 or 8 games, how many points have we picked up over that 7 or 8 games? Can we replicate that again? How have we got those 7 points? Where have we been good? Where have we been poor? This evaluative process has to happen consistently with Leeds United. But also, the calibre of games are in this process as well. How difficult are the games? Well, we've had a starting 3 games, which, when you're looking at it, realistically, I probably thought we'd have got a point. So they've exceeded my expectations. They've got 4 points from 9. Brilliant. Okay. Now that block of games is done now. Okay. That block of games is done. Now we can make an evaluation, which we all have done. We're not great in front of goal. We're not creating that many chances, but we seem relatively strong at the back. The manager seems to think we're dominating possession against Everton and Newcastle, and we've been in complete control. I would say that's great, but if you're not creating enough XG, enough chances per 90, that it doesn't really mean anything. It just means that, you know, you may be able to control possession and maybe get a little bit of a nick every now and again when it comes to maybe a penalty or a deflection. You want to be a little bit more clinical, a little bit more decisive than that, and that is up to the players, but it's also up to the manager and getting the best out of the players via system, via coaching off the pitch, mentality, you know, in-game management, etc. So looks like Anthony Robinson's going to be back for this one, which is a big problem because on that left-hand side, he got 10 assists last season. Is basically Iwobi is a foil for him. Iwobi will cut inside every single time, look to deliver that ball from an inverted position into Rodrigo Muniz, of which the new young lad, Josh King, who looks excellent, by the way, will follow him into the box, and Marco Silva's encouraging that. But Iwobi will put that ball into the box. He'll invert most times, put the ball into the box. You'll get Kevin, you'll get Josh King, you might get Sander Berg as well. Join them in the box looking to get those second balls. This is where Fulham are very, very good. When you look at the statistics, it's actually quite frightening when it comes to the ball into the box. Fulham want to play the ball out wide under Marco Silva. They do not want to play the ball centrally. They will make Craven Cottage as big as possible, as wide as possible, that pitch. That's what they'll try and do. They'll get Kevin on that right-hand side, potentially, or Sessegnon. They'll get Iwobi, or maybe Kevin, and then Chukwueze into proceeding, so they make the pitch as wide as possible. Marco Silva loves wingers. Basically, Sanderberg and Lukic in that defensive midfield pivot are there to break up play from the opposition's counter-attacks. What will they do? Berg and Lukic as well. You get Anthony Robinson bombing on forward. You get Kenny Tete not bombing on forward as much. He normally makes it into a back three. And then you get Sanderberger and Lukic just sitting in there trying to prevent that counter-attack. But you'll get Anthony Robinson. He is the target every single time. 41% of Fulham's attacks last season came down that left-hand side. And 77% of Fulham's attacks under Marco Silva have come from wide areas. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. And even against us, when we're playing Fulham in the Premier League, and I think Marco Silva was there, wasn't he, in the Premier League? I think he's one of the best coaches in the Premier League as well, by the way. We're talking about pragmatism. We're talking about, elevation of certain players. I think he's a wonderful coach. And if I was plenty of Premier League coaches, you're looking at Forest going and getting Ange Postecoglou this week. I'd have put all the money on the table for Marco Silva if I could. Silva, I think he's a top coach in this division. So, yeah, Iwobi will be the decoy. He'll cut inside, and he's got a lot of quality. But Anthony Robinson will be that left winger, and we've got to shut him down. Now, how do you do this? Well, you've got to combat it, haven't you? So if Anthony Robinson is putting the ball into the box consistently and 41% of the crosses are coming down that left-hand side and he's got 10 assists last season, you've got to have someone in the box who can head the ball out. You've got to have a box defender, someone who is excellent at aerial duels and is going to be able to deal with the likes of Rodrigo Muniz and Raul Jimenez. I think this is a game of which Biol comes in. I think this is a type-specific game for Biol because I think the balls are going to be coming into the box. Fulham have attempted more crosses into the box over the last 2 years than any other club in the Premier League. This is something that they have to be working on, Leeds United. They simply have to be working on, and I'm sure they are, but I don't want to get into this game. And for Leeds United, I'll be honest, to mark zonally, I think the zonal marking is, excuse my French, a load of bollocks. I think the big man marks the big man. You wrestle with the big man. You do not put players like Willy Gnonto on a corner on Calvin Bassey. That should not happen because they're just going to get a run on him. I think zonal marking is a load of bollocks. I think it's got to be man for man when it comes to set pieces, and your biggest man's got to be on your biggest man. They teach you that at Sunday League. There's no point in trying to reinvent the wheel and being smart here. Get your biggest man on the biggest man. Okay, so you're looking at balls coming into the box here, and I think there's ways of which Leeds can combat this against Fulham, if I'm honest with you. I think Willy Gnonto has to be disciplined, and I actually think recently Gnonto has been a better defender than that of Dan James. I think there's always too much space between James and Bogle, even when it comes to a defensive standpoint. I think they've got to be closer together. I think Gnonto's defensive work as a winger has drastically improved, so we need to see them combined. We need to see them in a defensive standpoint be very, very disciplined against this brilliant left-hand side that Fulham have right now, and it's such a relationship, Anthony Robinson and Iwobi right now. There's a synergy there. Against Man United, I thought that left-hand side was a huge problem for Man United in particular. It was for massive periods against Chelsea as well. So you've got to be disciplined. Now, what I would like to see as well is if Ampadu's in there, if Tanaka's in there, Longstaff's, it'll be Stack, won't it? So if it's Tanaka, Ampadu, Stack, or if Longstaff is in ahead of Tanaka, whatever it may be. As a midfield triangle, they have to shift onto that right-hand side. So as you can see on the graphic here, when it comes to Sanderberg and Lukic, let's say if Leeds are being prominent on Kevin and Tete's side, you basically have to get Sanderberg and Lukic there veering over onto that side to help with protection. That's what has to happen. So Leeds have to do that when it comes to if we're in a 4-2-3-1 or even if we're in a 4-3-3, that midfield triangle or that midfield trio, I should say, has to veer over to that to our right-hand side, to Fulham's left-hand side. So when you're looking at Iwobi and Anthony Robinson there, our midfield has to shift over to that side to help with protection because they are so progressive on that side. We need to combat that. And there is opportunities for Leeds United as well. So if you've got a midfield trio on that side helping with protection, there is also then an availability for Leeds United to hit Fulham on the transition. Because if Anthony Robinson is peeling forward every single time, we know there's almost a telepathic way of which Lukic will go and cover. But if you can hit them, on that transition very quickly, that is where Leeds United are going to get opportunities in this game to score goals because they do bomb forward, Fulham. They do bomb forward, and the statistics back that up as well. So I've mentioned this as well. How do you combat this? So the spacing behind Robinson, I said, why is it clear? And why is it important that Tanaka and Ampadu play in this game? I want to see quick transitions, everybody. I want to see those long balls over that left back. So if Anthony Robinson is piling forward, if Kenny Tete is piling on forward, I don't want to see short, intricate passes of which Fulham can then get back into the shape. Get the ball, get it to Tanaka. Let's see those long arching balls that we've not seen enough of. We do not see enough of those long arching balls of which Tanaka, when he first came into Leeds United, was doing on the weekly for me. So I'd like to see that a little bit more quicker. You know, that's how you do it. Don't just be passive and slow on the ball, because that means Fulham can regain in possession, but you can combat this. Now, what I'd also like to see is when Anthony Robinson gets the ball and when Iwobi gets the ball, bang, engage quickly. Engage quickly. None of this standing and jockeying like we saw with Pascal Struijk and Gyökeres. Gyökeres, who plays football in Timberland boots, you literally had him running from the halfway line and Struijk just jockeying him, watching him. Oh, go on, Victor, go on. Now I'll go and tackle when you're about to strike the ball. As soon as Anthony Robinson gets the ball, first touch, you need to hit him. Not hit him in terms of like a bad tackle or anything like that, but Bogle has to be very, very proactive here. Anthony Robinson gets the ball. Do not just jockey and give him 5 yards to run into. You've got to engage. And for me, in our only away game this season, of which we were battered by Arsenal, we were not engaging enough. There was too much respect. And on that left-hand side, when there's so much production, first touch, bang, you've got to get closer to them. And I'm hoping Leeds United have sorted that out. And that comes to Willie Gnonto as well. Iwobi gets the ball, Robinson gets the ball, and they're coming forward with it on that left-hand side. You've got to engage quickly. Have to do that. And Leeds then can recover the ball and then maybe exploit them in transition. And guys, the biggest thing to take away from all of this, and what Daniel Farke has mentioned several times, to slow that Fulham side down, you dominate the ball. If you can dominate the ball, if you can be possession heavy, if you can do that consistently through the 90, Fulham aren't going to be able to hit you on that left-hand side consistently. They might be a little bit rusty as well if they're only able to do it 2 or 3 times during the game as opposed to 9 or 10 times, of which, you know, if we're not engaging quickly enough, they'll be able to do. So we've got to be possession based, obviously, in this game. Try keep the ball as much as you can and be effective on the ball. Really quick decisions as well. But also be confident. You know, be confident on the ball. Take some pot shots. Take some risks. And hopefully Leeds United can get this one over the line. Let's see what some of you guys are saying as well. Let's see how many of you guys are in the building, actually, for this preview show. I guess that's what it is. 900 of you in the building. Slap a like. Honest score predictions 2-1. Connor, to me, Schmidt is better than Farke thinks he is. Similar to most players, Farke moves on. Malik has said the same thing. Connor, do you think we ever see a world where we play Bogle at right wing? I just think he's our best right wing as it stands at the moment. He's a right back. The thing is, Malik, what you've got to look at, mate, is it's easy for him to look good going forward now as a right back as opposed to a right winger. A right winger gets a lot of focus from an opposition side because the wingers in this division are the best wingers in the world. So Willie Gnonto will get a lot more focus. Dan James will get a lot more focus. There's a lot more progression. Bogle can see the game a lot more than Willie Gnonto can see the game. And I think the combination play from a starting player who's not getting pressured, which Bogle won't be on the ball, in comparison to Gnonto, is very different. Very, very different. It's a very congested space with Willie Gnonto. Bogle will always get the run on Willie Gnonto as well when it comes to underlaps and overlaps. So he looks like the much better player. In essence, if let's say you switch positions and Gnonto was there and Bogle was there, Gnonto would look a lot better than Bogle as well, and would be saying, should we put Gnonto right wing? It's completely different positions. Trust me, from playing in both positions, it's and I'm sure you guys have as well, but it's completely different. Did Farke get asked anything about Beal in the presser? No, mate, he didn't. But I think it's got to be that. And look, we've gone through the tactics. We've gone through the tactics just there with Fulham. But if those balls are coming into the box, I want to see some wrestling. I want to see some wrestling. You've also got to keep it above board with VAR and all this sort of stuff. You've got to defend your box. You've got to be strong. You've got to be physical. You know, that's what Beale's been brought in for. If we just brought in a guy for 20 million to sit on the bench, I didn't like Struijk's last away performance. I didn't like it. I thought home against Newcastle and against, you know, in Newcastle in particular, he was excellent. But if we're not going to play a back three, and you guys, this is why I don't have agendas, and you guys know, as a one leader, you will know that I will sit here and I've been a massive fan of Struijk, but I'd take Struijk out. I take Struijk out for this. We've not just brought Beal in, who is a good ball player as well, a good ball progressor. I think there's a notion right now that he can't play out from the back. There's people There's people just, Leeds fans do this so often. And I've always said that you can tell a player from watching him already, and of course you can, but there's people writing him off after Sheffield Wednesday. Oh, well, he was crap against Wednesday, but, I'm not going to judge it. Well, you have judged him. You've said that, in effect, you've kind of just said that in your head, he's crap. I'd keep Strauch in there because he was poor against Sheffield Wednesday. They're all crap against Sheffield Wednesday, every single one of them. And then they went into Newcastle and put in a much better performance. Do you know what I mean? So you can't really judge Sheffield Wednesday and just say, well, he's not a player. That's what I'm trying not to do with Okafor. I thought Okafor was poor against Sheffield Wednesday. Is that gonna stay in my head as a little bit of a stigma? No. It's not. It's a completely different game state. Sheffield Wednesday was a very confusing game for us and them, I think. Everything that's going wrong with Sheffield Wednesday at this moment in time as well. Wasn't a great performance, but you can't just judge a player on that. You can't. Biol comes in for this one. This is a guy who was unbelievable at Euro 2024. I thought for a large portion of his on international duty, he looked decent as well. You're looking at him against Udinese. He's a box defender. Udinese were under the cosh a hell of a lot. He fits that style of play. He fits everything when it comes to Leeds' ethos right now, staying in the division. Udinese weren't the most progressive side in Serie A last season and never have been. So he's had to go against the grain a lot against these top 6, top 10 teams as well. He fits it perfectly, and he's won so many aerial duels. He's so good from that perspective. He's so good when it comes to a physicality, structure as well. You just want him defending that box, and with balls coming into the box, it's a perfect type of game for him. And I know Strauch's good in the air as well, but I have to say the one weakness I think about Pascal, especially, he's just away games. I'm much more confident with Pascal at home, and those progressive passes out from the back, maybe when Leeds are a little bit more dominant in possession. When Leeds aren't dominant in possession, I would much rather another centre-back come in for Pascal Strauch. Much rather that. And I quite would like that, those box defenders, those traditional defenders in Biol and Rodon to be together to deal with those balls in from that left-hand side. And if you're not going to put him now, are you ever going to put him in? That's kind of how I look at it right now when it comes to Biol. You're going to be in, the 4th game of the season? Are you not, after an international break? He's fit, he's ready. Is he just not playing? Is he just now reserved for Pascal? So I don't think Pascal's been amazing. I think he's been decent, but he's not been amazing. At this stage, I think you've got to put Biol in for me, and I want to see him wrestling with Muniz. And that's what Farke was talking about in his press conference, being unpredictable. We'll have to wait and see. What's your predicted 11, Con? I'll get into that, mate. Yeah, in just a second. Connor, can the boys bring the energy and determination they showed against Newcastle? Hopefully, Jonathan. Yeah, I think they can. I think we'll get something. I think we will get something this week. I've predicted that we're going to get a draw, and I'd be happy with the draw. I think a loss would be disappointing, even though Fulham are a decent side, but they've not had a good start. This is the starting 11 I would go for, obviously with all the injuries. And I think we've heard doubts, haven't we? Mrs. Doubtfire going into this, but for me, I think there's going to be more players fit than we actually expect. This is the 11 I would go for, and guys, get your 11 please in the comment section below. But like I said, I think a lot of what we've got to look at when it comes to this is the fact that Biol can play out from the back. He's a good progressive passer out from the back, and when you're looking at it overall as well, you've got a player there who is going to be able to be better in those. I think there's just a lapse of concentration sometimes with Pascal in moments. And I think when you're against the ball, he's a lot weaker. I think when you're dominant in possession, he's excellent. But I think he's weaker when you're against the ball. I think there is lapses, and we can't have that this weekend. So I'd be putting Biol in for this one. Yaka would come in on the left-hand side. We'd have Gabby, obviously. I've done this beforehand, guys, but you have to manually put in all of this stuff. Right, well, I'm hoping this is how it's going to start. I'm going to be... Should I be realistic here? I'm going to be a little bit more realistic, so I think this is how we will go into it. So I'm going to go... I think this is a little bit more realistic. And then we'll go... Is he going to do that? I think this is what he's going to do, which is going to be I think this is going to be a little bit disappointing if he does do this, but I've got a feeling he might. God, I kept Rodrigo Muniz in there. That'd have been nice, wouldn't it? I had him in so many custom lineups. But if he goes with a 4-3-3, this is how I think we're going to look. And let me know what you guys think. Not what you want, but do you think this is how we'll go? Okay. This is what I think he'll do. So I'm going to let that marinate. We're going to go for a McGilligan marinate there. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As John says, brace yourself for Connor's starting 11. It's not my starting 11. I don't really like doing my starting 11s. I'm more thinking, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? I think this is what he'll go with. I think Ampadu's going to be fit. I think Gruev, we always know he prefers Gruev, I think, in away games because he's more defensively good, I guess. And let me. I say this 7 or 8 times, and you guys aren't at fault for this whatsoever. I just have to clarify this about 600 times. Stack is in there. Chris, I don't know what I've been drinking, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been drinking coffee. I apologise, mate. What on earth am I doing there? That's why you're in here, pal. Stack. There you go. Anton Stack. There you go. Apologies, mate. Shocker from me. But I have to speak about Gruev in this respect. I will always give Alai Gruev props, okay? I will give him props when he deserves it, okay? Now, you do sometimes get comments. It's very rare because you guys, a lot of you guys, well, the majority of you have brains and you do listen. But there is sort of a segment who get very upset if you don't rate certain players that they rate, and that's a difference of opinion, and that's, you know, people projecting. I get that, but there is a simple tactical way of which you can explain Gruev. It's very simple. So let's take all the childish garbage out of it. With, oh, you just don't like Gruev. No, I'm 32 this month. He's a football player for my club. I couldn't care less. I want Leeds to win. It's not player FC for me, and unfortunately, I think some fans are a little bit more player FC to build some sort of, I don't know, narrative or whatever. But Gruev, for me, is a limited footballer. He is good in certain games when it comes to being against the ball to a certain extent. He isn't a progressive passer, no matter what people will tell you. The eye test and the stats will back that up. And he is the most limited Leeds United midfielder, I would say, on the ball. On the ball, this is probably with Sean Longstaff, I would say. I think Tanaka, Ampadu and Stack are miles better on the ball than both of those. Now, Alai Gruev being in this side, I think Farke just sees him as a shoring, a sort of sure player in front of the 3. I think Sean Longstaff would be better in this game because I think there's going to be a little bit of competition, but you've got to think about, we spoke about that midfield and how they've got to shift over. I get why Farke would play Gruev in this one because there's got to be a lot of cover. There's got to be a lot of cover. I think what we miss out on with Alai Gruev is that progressive passing. You know, it's that ability to get the ball and move it up the pitch. He is not press resistant. So if you get a player, if you get Sander Berge, if you get Lukic pressing on him, he'll go back and he'll put Leeds under pressure. That's what Alai Gruev does. He can't bypass a press. Stack can, Ampadu can, Tanaka can. Longstaff, I'm not sure he can either, but that's the issue with Gruev. He effectively pushes Leeds United back without people really noticing, but he'll push you back because he can't move the ball forward if he's under a press, and he's going to be under a press for Leeds United week in, week out. That's my problem with him. If I could see him bypassing a press, using his body a little bit, having that strength, having that thought process, not always to go backwards or go lateral. It's so easy to do that as a midfielder. The brave midfielders, in my opinion, and the ones with the most ability are the ones who vary the game and they're able to get it on the back foot and move forward and take those risky passes and vary that game up. Gruev just isn't that. So what I would do in this game, my difference makers here would be I'd have Nonso wide right. And obviously, I think this is what Farke's going to do. That's what I think Farke's going to do. This is what I would do. I think that, because obviously we don't know if Tanaka's going to be available. I don't think he will be. But I would much rather this. I think that works. So I would make 2 changes to what I think Farke's going to go for. I'd still have DCL up front because I think DCL, I want to see his continuation. He's our lead 9 now. I don't want to see Metra in there. I love Metra. I think he looks great. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin's on 9,200 grand a week. He's our lead number 9 now. We need to get him minutes. Nonto will be on the right for me. And I think there's some really excellent cover on that right-hand side that you can see on screen now. I think Stack provides the cover on the left-hand side of that midfield. I think Longstaff is really good in the duels, which can disrupt Berger. It can disrupt Lukic, even though they don't play centrally. I think there needs to be a bit of combativeness when there's those duels, those 50-50s in the midfield, which I think Longstaff will be better than Gruev in. And I think that's where he gets the level up on Gruev week in, week out for me if he was to start. It's the fact that he's just more athletic, he's more physical, you know? And maybe I would push Longstaff to having maybe more progression about his game than than Gruev. But yeah, that's what I'd go with, everybody. Let us know in the comment section below what you think. Yeah, I'd go with that. Basically, if Longstaff and Gruev both start, we aren't scoring. Yeah, second team is the one corner. We all see it. Surely Farke does too. You say that, mate, but Gruev did make 4 passes against Newcastle. Played a great ball for Nonto. Which one was that? But Kirsch, and fair enough, mate, but I will die on this hill when it comes to Willian Yonto and a midfielder. I'll die on the hill, and it's not to not give him credit. I thought he was good against Newcastle, but people don't. It's selective hearing, my friend. Selective hearing. It's not even proven I'm right or I'm wrong. But I did give him credit against Newcastle, but he's nowhere near good enough. It's just nowhere near good enough. He's not press resistant. You have to be a midfielder if you're in this division in the Premier League right now. Bearing in mind that it's all switched as well, because we all wanted to. Everybody's talking about selling him in the summer, but now because he's with us, obviously you support him. I get that, but he's not press resistant. If you're not press resistant, then it's a problem. It's a big problem. You can't just be in that defensive position in front of your back two, passing to your left back and your right back. It's too easy. It's too easy to do. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. But, yeah, I'm not saying he didn't make 4 passes, mate, but I think the majority of the time, and I'm not being that pernickety, Kirsch, I'm not saying he doesn't make 4 passes, but I think there's sort of a bit of stuff that's always gone round of him having that to his game. I don't see enough of that during a 90-minute match. And if you actually go back and look at that Gruev heat map as well, look at where all the heat was. But yeah, Longstaff was our best player. Connor for manager. Mate, that will rattle so many people. But I think I've laid out how to beat Fulham. I think I've laid out. That's why it took so long this morning. So I was trying to have a little bit of a think on what we can do and what will affect them in the right way. Rog says, whoever plays has my 100% backing. Longstaff for Gruev, Nonto on the right and Okafor on the left. Good minds think alike, mate. I'm excited to see that Nonto and Bogle link up. Gruev not injured. I don't know, Dan. I'm not sure. There wasn't anything said, was there? Swap Nonto for James and play Okafor. I agree. Gruev, he'll kick off in the changing room if he's dropped. Malik says, Gruev does a job, but that's it. That is exactly right, Malik. Exactly right, my friend. You bang on the money, mate. Bang on the money. So it's not supporting a Leeds United player, and it's very, very sensitive. And this is why, you got to be careful with some of the language that you use around Leeds, content and all this sort of stuff, because there's a lot of sensitivity in it. I get it, but Longstaff is a better player than Gruev, and Gruev is should be our 5th choice midfielder. You have to be press resistant and be able to have a bit more variety in your game as a midfielder. In the Premier League for me. Right, we're going to be back. Listen, we've got all of the OK. If you want to win an OK jersey, have to be there on the watch along tomorrow, everybody. I can't wait to get going with it. We're back. Football's back, baby. Check out the brilliant stuff that we were speaking about early on when it comes to bet, mate. Look at this. I won money. I came 3rd in the England versus Andorra. This is my team for this week as well, everybody. I'm hoping I've joined the 3 p.m. kickoff. I can't remember how much it was. I think it was about £3 to join that one. My link is in the description below for this, everybody. Get involved. That is my team. I've gone with Okafors this weekend as well. Match bingo. You get a 200% bonus code with 1 Leeds, and that just doesn't register with new users. You can be an existing user as well. Absolutely brilliant. So make sure you check that out, everybody. Thank you to all of our sponsors, as always, for sponsoring 1 Leeds. And I will see you tomorrow, everybody. Can't wait. Come on, Leeds. I'm going to go. Should I go with the 2-1? Let's go with the 2-1. Come on. See you then, everybody. Cheers.